I want to be there and baby dance the night away. I let my hair down if I want. Don't you just get tired chasing fame and being pretty all the time? Doesn't sound like fun. You can do better. Let me show you what a good time looks like. You can do better. You can do better. Let me show you what a good time looks like. You can do better. I dare you to be wilder. My shoes off if I want. Let yourself be free and maybe you will find that there is more to life than being pretty. Honey, let's just face it. Baby, let your head down, be a little wilder. Baby, kick your shoes off, you don't have to hide it. Baby, let your head down, be a little wilder. Baby, kick your shoes off, don't hide it. I don't fit into your box, beauty queens without no flaws. You can do better, I dare you to be wilder. I don't fit.
Hello, Phil Croshaw here again. 31 days of live streamings in August. It's now Sunday, and I'm here today to have a quick chat with you. And I was thinking about what I could cover today, and I was having a look through at some of the questions that have been asked, and I thought probably it would make sense to just run through a few of the answers to the questions that have been asked. And these are obviously my perspectives, they're my views, they might not be everybody's views. And I also thought, because it's a Sunday and it's a beautiful day, I think we've got thunderstorms on the way in the next couple of days here in Manchester. So today I thought I'd do the garden. So that's why I've got a nice leafy background in the garden. And no, it's not a green screen, it's genuine, real garden. Honest. I'm not going to run out there and start picking leaves to prove it. You're just going to have to trust me on it. Okay, so let's just go into a few questions and answers that I've had in the last couple of days. One of the first questions I got asked was by a guy who said, why do I do a longer intro? Why? Because he's read somewhere that you should just do a short intro. It is absolutely true when it comes to probably video, recorded video. But the reason I do a bit of a longer introduction, the music and the countdown, is because it just gives people a chance to get into the stream before I actually start. So it gives them a heads up, basically. And I just personally think that it makes sense. Now, there's those that say it should be actually quite a bit longer, because it does take people a while, because they've maybe got the phones, they've got other things going on. And it depends on who you speak to, but being, excuse me, being the impatient, it's not COVID, being the impatient person I am, probably a minute, just over a minute is a little bit, is enough for me personally, because I don't want to obviously bore people apart from with what I'm saying, which is bad enough as it is. Okay, so that's my reason for doing a longer intro. So next one was from Janice, who said, people seem to be doing a lot more personal posts on LinkedIn. Is this appropriate? That's a really good question, and this has come up a few times actually recently. I've actually posted a few posts over the last few months where I've actually got a hashtag called "This is not Facebook" on LinkedIn. My personal view is it's absolutely appropriate. Because for the simple reason that at the end of the day, we're human beings first, and we're basically business people second. And I personally think, again, it's a personal view, that I think it makes a lot of sense to share a bit about yourself, a bit of your personal perspectives, a bit of your personal experiences, your personal views, rather than it just being too formal, which LinkedIn can be. So my view is stop coughing. You can see it's live, can't you? My view, therefore, is to yes, be more yourself, be authentic, and do more interesting, slightly more personal things on LinkedIn to show the real you rather than the plastic you. So I have a view that says that, yes, you definitely should do that. Maybe not to the degree of a TikTok dance. Might be a little bit over the top, but certainly demonstrate you and demonstrate what you're about and as a person, as an individual, and maybe even show the family side of you as well. So personally, I think, yes, I think it's fine to do personal posts on LinkedIn, just with a little bit of context thrown in. Next one was by Jonathan. Jonathan, I'm thinking of starting a new business on the side. Is it worth it during the current COVID-19 pandemic? And I think the simple answer is it definitely is worth it. Apart from anything else, it's the skills that you learn, and it's the skills and the experience that you get from running your own business. And never has there been a better time to be able to run a business on the side. You probably you heard me talk about it before when I talk about side hustle. And you just learn so much by doing your own business. And I think now is a better time than ever, because there's a good chance that, remember Jobs for Life back 30 years ago? I don't think there's been such a thing for a long time. But now the question is there a Jobs for 3 years? Is that still a thing? And I think I've mentioned it on this channel before about some of the challenges I think we're going to face. So I think being able to run a business or organize a business on the side, if I say on the side, I'm assuming on the side, I mean, if you're employed, and maybe on the side from another business that you're running, if you actually got your own business, on the assumption that you don't have to give it 100% just to survive in the current climate. So yes is the answer to that. Yes, I think you should start a new business, but do your research first. And I'm going to be doing quite a bit from the Geeky channels around startup. Geeky Startup it's called, and it will be about starting new businesses. And one of the things I always say to people is make sure you do the research first, because if you don't do the research, there's a very good chance you're going to fall flat on your face. This person knows that I've interviewed many people, over 550 actually now. And they were asking me who out of everybody I've video interviewed was the most inspirational person that I've interviewed. And that's a really tough one, because there's different people that I've interviewed and inspired me for different reasons in different ways. But the people that stood out for me were Eamon Holmes, because he was very down to earth and very candid and honest about some of the challenges he'd had in his career, and he was very real. There was no celebrity effect. He had no celebrity showing off type of mentality that I saw anyway. Simon Woodruff, excuse me, Simon Woodruff, who's the founder of Yo Sushi. He was an extremely inspirational guy. I also asked him, would he do the interview? And it was basically, yeah, sure, just tell me where and when we're doing it and I'll do it. And he just wanted to tell his story. He wanted to share some of the things that he did. And it was a fantastic story. And what I'll do, actually, I will show a clip of some of these interviews on here. I call it, because I do it in live environments, and I do actually call it what's the point? And I've done this in live environments back in the day when you used to be able to go into a live environment. And I pick out certain points that they're making in these interviews, things that inspired me or made me stop and think or made me consider different ways of doing things. So I'll do that. And Simon Woodruff, the founder of Yo Sushi, was one of these people. Some of you might know him from the very early days of Dragon's Den. He was one of the panelists, as it were, on Dragon's Den. But again, very down-to-earth guy, but kind of knew his stuff. But there were so many things he talked about. But I mean, you know, he put so much on the line to start Yo Sushi, and you find this a lot with entrepreneurs. A lot of them say that people assume that they fell out of the sky like Mr. Bean, as I put it, as this successful business person, and that's very, very often not the case. Others, Chris Akabusi, very honest again, fun-loving guy, is known as his persona, but was very honest about suffering from some depression and some challenges. And when he gets into dark moments, he remembers Helen Keller, and he's inspired by her. And yeah, great guy, dead straight, and again just agreed to do it just on being asked to, and trusted that we were not news of the world or doing a Arab sting, as it were, or a shake sting, wasn't it actually? So he was great. Sam Allardyce, obviously, because being a Bolton fan, yes, I know, awful, but being a Bolton fan, Sam Allardyce is a hero of mine, and certainly Sam Allardyce was a real inspiration in terms of some of the things he shared in the interview. Who else? Dame Anita Roddick, who started the Body Shop, wonderful storyteller. And again, as I said, I'll actually show you some of the clips from the video interview that I did with Dame Anita Roddick back in the day. And just she's a fantastic storyteller, very natural, very just very relaxed in her style and her communication style. And you know, she really did stand out. Who else? Well, I'll just give a couple more because I could be going on forever because there's that many of them. One of the other people that I was really impressed with was Rosemary Conley. And Rosemary Conley, for those of you who don't know, I guess you could say she was a bit like the what's he called, Wicks. He was a bit of the can't remember his name now, but you know what I mean, Wicks. It's on the tip of my tongue and I can't remember. It's probably people screaming. Joe Wicks. It is Joe, I think. Yeah, Joe Wicks. And yeah, she was like him back in the day. And she was very popular, did all sorts of different health and fitness stuff, was on the TV an awful lot. And she was a lovely lady. And she had some really tough times. And she started with nothing, then in the middle of the whole thing, made some big business mistakes, which she was very open and honest about. And then managed to come back from that, from ground zero. And the point she made, which stuck with me, was oh, sorry, I'm just looking. My daughter's ringing me, you see, just to show you. But you're going to be the priority. Does that mean I'm a bad person? But I will phone her back in a minute. So yeah, so loads of different people doing different things, but they were really my inspiration. I'm sorry, Verity, but I will call you back in a minute. Right, next question. The bank want me to put my house up for security for my business. Should I do this? And this is definitely a question I'm not going to answer because it's got to be down to you to make that sort of decision. So what I'm going to suggest to you is that you think about it very carefully, but understand why the bank are doing it. It's not because the bank are evil. And some people will think that the banks are evil. I can understand why that might be because of some of the situations that have risen over the last few years. And you know, I'm not saying I'm a big fan of the banks. Trust me, I'm not. But the key driver behind it, and this was said to me about 10 years ago when I was trying to raise a lot of money for a new business opportunity. The guy said to me, look, he said, we need to know that if things get tough, you're not just going to shrug and go, it's too much like hard work, never mind, I'll renege on the loan and everything will be normal, but I'll go back to getting a job. We need to know that you've got skin in the game. We need to know that you've got real drive and determination to see it through and not just lose the money that we've lent you because you can't really be bothered or it's become too hard. And I think it's very fair. I think it's extremely nice. I think it's extremely true, isn't it? That if you've got something to lose as much as your house, you're much more likely to be more driven, aren't you? So that's that. Have you ever sold products as well as services? This was asked by who was that? That's by Susan. Yeah, Susan. Yeah, I don't like giving the surnames. But yeah, Susan asked me about have I sold products as well as services, and the answer is yes, because I enjoy the process of selling and the process of business development, which is what Geeky Group's all about. So what have I sold? I have sold and offered and delivered a number of online businesses, children's toys. I've done children's toys, some flashing light type laser laces as they were called, and the laces flashed. Something called golf slip savers, which were you were able to put on your feet in order to not slip on a golf course. That was something else that we sold. caps with flashing lights built into the hat, into the caps. We had different logos on the front, etc. And one of the most popular things that I ever sold online was something called a sky belt. That was a buckle of an aircraft and different coloured bands that went with these for wearing with jeans. And these were really, really popular. I imported them from America, and they were unique, and I got so much press on them and everything, and it was a really good time. And then things happened with import duties and taxes, and it just wasn't viable anymore. But it was great, it was interesting, and I learned a huge amount from it. And that's the whole point, is it, of this thing, is about what you learn from it as well. So yes, I've sold products as well as services, albeit the vast majority now is services. And the last one is by Paul, a question from Paul. And the question is, what's your biggest regret in business? Whoa, that's a tough one. I'm going to describe two regrets I've got. The first one was that back in I can't remember the exact year, but it was 1999, maybe 2000. I spotted a trend. I spotted something happening in the market. And as a result, I went out and bought a domain name. And I bought the domain name. And then a year later, I got busy with other things. And I ended up actually letting the domain name lapse. And that domain name was broadband.co.uk. And I have it on good authority from a guy I know at Virgin Media that would have been worth a fortune. So as I say, when I do the talks at events, I went from absolute amazing genius to blithering idiot within about a 12-month period. So that's a regret I've got, that I let that lapse. But hey, who would have ever known that broadband would become as big a word and as big a thing as it became? And that's life. You just have to let them go. I think the other regret I've got is that when I started the digital magazine, Tweeting Times, with Taz Thornton and Asher Clearwater at Turquoise Tiger, that was a massive opportunity. We had 84,000 views in the first few days. It was featured on The Right Stuff on television. All sorts of things were happening. We were getting celebrities agreeing to be interviewed for it. Everybody from Stephen Fry to, I think, Samantha Fox as well. That was a lot of work that Taz Thornton and Asher Clearwater did. I got a few people in as well. And it was just going from strength to strength. And we included videos in the magazine. It was an online magazine, obviously. And we included videos and audios and everything else. And I think that probably had a massive, massive amount of opportunity. And that was my fault. And I regret it, because I got very busy with other things. I got distracted. I got a contract in Ireland, which was quite lucrative. It was around about the time just after the big banks collapsed and everything. So money was key. And I just kind of had to go with where the money was at the time. But with hindsight now, I think when I look at the success of something like Huffington Post, which I know was different, I do believe that's a regret. And I think that could have been a major success. And boy, oh boy, was it fun. You know, I mean, it really was great fun. It was great working with Taz and Asher. And at the same time, we did some interesting things. We were going to parties and going to events, and lots of creativity in it as well, which is when I'm really at my happiest. So that's why I would say were probably my two biggest regrets in business. There's many more, but those are probably the main two. So that's probably about it. That's about it for the questions. And I've now got to call my daughter back, and I think I've got an Amazon due anytime soon as well. So that's it for today. That's it for Sunday. Tomorrow, Monday, 10:30. I've mentioned a few times, and I'll mention again, my guest on here on Live Streamers Association live broadcast. My guest is Susan Lee, and Susan is a hypnotherapist and a coach and a consultant and all sorts of various other things in the whole area of mental well-being and health and wellness. And she's got some fantastic stuff to share, very experienced, and you'll obviously be able to ask questions of her as well if you want. And she will be on live tomorrow as my guest at 10:30 a.m. That's tomorrow, Monday, and she will be on as my guest, Susan Lee. So I hope you can join me for that. And on that note, I'm now going to get the Amazon delivered and possibly even spend a little bit of time in the garden. So that's it for today. I'm Phil Croshaw, and I'm just about to leach over here to end the broadcast, and I'll catch you tomorrow. Bye for now.